I love it. I love it.
We got the suspense here at the start.
Oh man, I'm telling you, that's the way you get it kicked off. That's the way you get it kicked off. This is what I love about being live, man. It's raw, uncut, but I promise you we'll get it going here in a minute. That I can guarantee.
Quincy, my question is, how's Terrence feel that first picture is you against Colorado?
Hey, I tell you what, man. Hey, we used to have some battles, man. So I mean, in Kansas with Colorado, I put it like this: we never lost. I've never lost to them at home, and I've never beat them on the road. So I'm 50-50. 4 years straight. I done lost twice on the road, and I done won twice at home. So I'm good with that. I'm okay with that. I'm definitely.
I was gonna say that's why you guys can do the show together, because it's 50-50.
Right. There you go. There you go. There you go.
And that's in the good old Big 12 days too.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man. We talk all the time. It's so funny to see how how the conferences have changed, and how the Big 12 was such an absolute power, and how you gradually saw the SEC coming into play and being currently what they are. But at that point in time, it was Big 12, Big 10 or nothing pretty much. So obviously things have evolved here. But as far as your viewers, apologies, we'll get Coach Wood on here in a minute, obviously, but we appreciate you all tuning in. You get an opportunity, definitely hit the button and make sure you subscribe, and we'll be with you all momentarily. But this definitely is live, raw, and uncut.
Quincy, you gotta be feeling good about Kansas, though.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I look at our quarterback. In my personal opinion, should be assuming that he has the season that he had last year. Obviously, the performance he had in the bowl game against Arkansas might possibly be a Heisman candidate. But yeah, we definitely will be back, be strong. I know we're coming back in the top 25 in the poll. So we're looking to do some major damage, man. You're looking to do some major damage. Everyone's coming back. We didn't lose a lot of upperclassmen. So, yeah, Kansas is definitely going to be strong. But as far as Colorado, that's America's team right now, man. I mean, I love to hear your opinion, but I mean, as far as what I can see on paper, and what Coach Prime is getting these young men to buy into as far as the program and his concept, it's going to be fun to watch. Definitely going to be fun to watch.
All right, I'm back, fellas. Now you guys know that we are officially live, and this is a word to the wise. Never try to adjust things right before the show is about to come on. So thank you, fellas. And the whole thing crashed. The whole thing. Everything
it's
in
all
the background.
Good.
So
it's all
I
good.
Appreciate you guys. But we're live. This is Coach Wood. You're in the locker room show. It's Thursday. It's time to go. I am pumped, you guys, for tonight's show and for our guests. So I see that you guys have already got started. We've got some of my faves in the comment section already. Miguel Andrade, hello, Coach. I see you. I see Ari. I see Jimmy Rucker. I see the whole crew. So thank you guys for joining us. My mother-in-law's in here out of Denver. So we are ready, and thank you guys for joining us live for the Locker Room Show. So we're about to get after it. So let me get into who we have with us, if you don't already know. If you're joining us for the first time, once again, I'm Coach Wood. You got Q, the guru, to my far right. That is the gentleman that always holds me down every Thursday. And then in the middle, you guys, in the middle, we got the one that has been chosen to take the steering wheel from my alma mater, and we've been through some rough days at Riordan High School in the city, but he's taken the steering wheel, you guys. This is a former D1 football player himself. He's had amazing success at the high school level, won a state championship in California in 2018 at Menlo Atherton High. Not easy to do. A lot of talent in California. So none other than Adhir Ravipati. How's it going, Coach?
I'm doing great. I've been following the show ever since Terrence and I got connected. Probably one of the number one alums that we've had a chance to work with since I got the job, and I feel like I've made the big time getting on the show. So I'm
welcome. Good to have you, Coach, for sure. Absolutely.
Definitely pumped up to have you, Coach. And then once again, you guys, this is one of the young coming coaches in California. A state title at Menlo Atherton. A number of guys going to play at the next level. Big time athletes. And they know that they're going to get coached up. They know that they're going to be prepared to play at the next level. And he's already started to duplicate that process, you guys, at my alma mater, Archbishop Riordan High School. So let's get into it, you guys. If you're joining us for the first time, we cover the trending topics. We get into the history and the background of our guests, but we also cover the trending topics that matter to you athletes, you parents, you coaches out there. So first and foremost, Coach, let's get into the reason to go to Archbishop Riordan, because we were struggling a little bit, and it's not always easy to come behind a coach that maybe hasn't put much in the cupboard or maybe doesn't have the culture set. So what was it about Archbishop Riordan, Coach, that made you say this is the spot?
Yeah, I mean, I think, let me give a little context to what got me to Riordan. You mentioned we were at Menlo Atherton. We just won a state championship in 2018. I work in tech. And so, it was one of those things where I had to go into the office, get to school, be able to be at practice, be at study hall, be at weights, be at all the things that we're doing. And it just became something that I couldn't manage the two anymore. And, I had to step down. That was really hard because, MA was home. I was there for 9 years, and that's a community that was very special to me. And, when I left, that was very hard. And to be honest, I felt a little bit lost without football. My parents had always raised me to have a service aspect of my life. And I found that in football. And it was pretty hard. And, Coach T and Coach O up at College of San Mateo called me about being an analyst. It didn't require me to be at practice, and just help break down film, help with game plans and stuff, and kind of keep my itch. And so I did that for a year. And to be honest, I thought I might be done coaching. I thought, I might just have to pursue my career and kind of just do what I could on the side to help kids. And, I was joining education nonprofits and trying to find ways to stay involved.
Yeah.
COVID happened, and that really kind of changed the world, as you guys know, and remote work became a thing. And all of a sudden it was, the chance of me being able to coach was there because I could just be on campus. And, I started training a bunch of kids during the pandemic because there was no high school football season. And so I had kids from all over the peninsula coming to train. And one of the things I think you guys will appreciate is because there was no season, it wasn't like we were out there training for competition. It wasn't like they were out there just doing one-on-ones. It wasn't even, you got to see the real joy of growth and development. Like, the kids just appreciated being outside. They appreciated the fact that we could take 4 or 5 months and really just focus on position specific development. It wasn't like out there and trying to run sevens. Right. And so I just saw the kids grow, and they loved it. And I just felt like I got to get back in this. And, there was an opportunity for me to coach at CSM. And so I jumped on that and took over the quarterbacks. Coming out of that, actually, I had a couple of Division I schools reach out to me, and I went interviewing, and I thought that's where I was going. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought I was going to the big time. I thought full time, and kind of figured that, I didn't know if that was for me. And, I got a call about the Riordan job being open. And, this will hurt some people hearing this, but I was like, is that the school that was about to close down, the all boys school in the city?
That, Coach.
I didn't know anything besides some of the stuff you see in the headlines. Right. And so I took a first call with the athletic directors, so Bob Green, Jason Morris, and the AVP at the school, Brian Kelly, kind of more just to see kind of what was out there. People had contacted me about coaching at different schools. And, I wasn't really even sure I wanted to go back to high school. And I just came away from the conversation really impressed, just hearing about the school story, the school having gone co-ed, how great it was doing financially, academically, the diversity of the school. We are the most diverse school in the Bay Area. We are the fastest growing school in the Bay Area. Seeing just the opportunities that they're giving kids. I love the fact that Riordan was this diverse school that was kind of like the blue collar Catholic school in the WCL, right? And a lot of that kind of resonated with me. And I kind of do more investigating, and when you get on campus at Riordan and you meet the people, it is such a special place. Like the spirit, the community, the amount of people there that went to Riordan that have come back to give those opportunities to this next generation. It really kind of spoke to me. And to be honest, I saw a lot of MA in it. And I really think that there was an opportunity there for us to be able to be really successful. And I define that as, kids graduating and going to college because they've gotten the work done in the classroom, kids being great people, growing into being fantastic young men. And then lastly, a chance to be good on the field. And to the point where I even asked, in my final interview, kind of like, I'm having a hard time understanding why we haven't been consistently good at Riordan. Like, what am I missing here? And, you meet Tim Riordan, our president, Brian Kelly, our AVP, Danny Curtin, our VP of enrollment and strategy, all the way down to our ADs. Just the alignment was incredible. And, I sat there and said, I think there's a really unique opportunity here. This school is taking off, is going through a lot of change for the better. And, it's thriving. And like I said, we're the fastest growing school in the Bay Area. And I felt like it was a chance for me to be able to jump onto a rocket ship of where the school is going. And I felt like everyone at the school really spoke to my values as a coach and trying to win more than just games on the field. And so I ended up going through the process, got offered the job. And, I went from literally 3 weeks before thinking, hey, I might be moving up to coach D1 ball and be a receivers coach to taking over being a high school head coach again, something that I didn't even think was on the table, but it was just a special place and a special opportunity. And I absolutely love, what's ahead of us at Riordan. So, T, you obviously know this at a really deep level, but it's a chance for us to do something really special for this community.
Definitely. And I couldn't be more pumped up to have this man steering the ship. I'm a former player that's really excited between my college, getting prime time, and then getting Coach Adhir at Riordan. I'm in alum heaven right now, and I know we're going to keep it that way because I'm helping them recruit and everything. So if you got a young superstar and you're in the Bay Area, definitely check out Coach Adhir and Riordan High. So let's go to our next topic, you guys, and this is big, and we got the right person on the show to talk about this. But success keys, Coach, success keys, because obviously, as we know, when you get the reins, when you get the keys to a new program, obviously you're getting it for a reason in most cases. And what were the three things? Maybe give me three things that you knew you had to jump on right away to get the boat steered in the right direction.
Yeah, I think the three things I'll tell people if you want to have success in any coaching job, and frankly, I think this is success as a leader of any organization. I really do believe that. I think the first thing is you got to have support from your administration. That could be in a job. It could be your boss, in an organization. It could be a VP or something. But I think you got to have support of it in alignment with the people that you're reporting to. And I think I alluded to that earlier, but with our president, Tim Riordan, our AVP, Brian Kelly, Danny Curtin, our VP of enrollment and strategy, our ADs, Bob Green, Jason Morris. You have a group of people that are completely aligned in wanting to direct this school, and athletics being a part of that, into allowing kids to be the best version of themselves, right? And when you have that type of support and that type of alignment, it allows you to make your job really easy and to be able to hit the ground running. And that was one thing, when I met with the team for the very first time, when I first got introduced as a head coach, right off the bat, all of those people were there at that meeting, right? And so that speaks volumes to me. And I think that's the first thing I would tell any person. I think the second thing is just establishing the culture. And I think sometimes people take that as it means that the culture was broken. It's not always means that it's broken, right? It means that you have your own way of doing things. You have your own way of establishing those things, right? For me, it was very much, I think that was something that we really needed, is we needed a culture reset with the football program and in alignment with where the school is going as well, right? And so Chris Peterson, who's a huge mentor of mine, the former Boise State and Washington head coach, he did a study, and it takes 12 to 18 months to fully turn over culture in any organization, right? And so for us, we know we had to kick that off right off the bat, and establishing, what Riordan had always been known for, the brotherhood, right? And building that back, and, guys truly having love in their hearts for the person next to them, wanting to see them be their best, push them to be their best, and collectively doing that as a group. And I feel like we've set that and we've hit that 12-month mark, and you've seen a huge difference in where we are and where we're going to be in another 6 months. And then I think the last thing is really just you have to empower your kids, right? I think a lot of times coaches come in and, you see this in college too, where people will talk about like, once you get your guys, right? Like even in Prime, right? Prime was out there talking to Colorado, telling him he got his Louis coming, right? So, but it's once you take a job, those are your kids. You can't sit there and say that I'm going to wait a year or two until I get my guys in here, right?
Right.
You take that job, those kids become your kids, and you have to start building those relationships and investing in them. And one of the things that we talk to our coaches a lot about is touch their hearts, right? Like you have to build a relationship with a kid. Like you can only push a kid as far as a relationship that you've established and the trust that you've built in one another. And so I think just having that administrative support and alignment and making sure that everyone is aligned in the same direction, I think, establishing the culture and starting to really invest in that, and then building relationships with your players. And that's every coach on your staff. And that's establishing relationships with people at the school, right? Like I got the job and I was going to, the English department staff meeting on Friday morning just to introduce myself and figure out like, hey, like what are some of the things that kids are struggling with in English, like from the football team? What can I do? Right? Like, I think it's just, you have to really embrace building those relationships right off the bat. I think you do those three things, you're going to be in a really good position. And that may not be winning football games immediately, but you're going to set yourself up for success.
Yeah.
I like that. Q, talk to me about the flip side of it, man, from the athlete side. You were at the University of Kansas. Let's say a new DB coach comes, maybe your junior year, you're established as a player. What do I have to do as a coach to gain your respect or to get you to move as a player in your mind?
Well, I mean, it's coming into a new program and trying to figure out how can I get these kids? Granted, just as Coach said, they're my kids now. I'm inheriting them, but how can I get them to buy into what I'm trying to build here? And that, to me, some coaches, the effective coaches are able to get around that hurdle, and the ones that are not able to do that. But it's established, as he said, it's establishing relationships with the kids from the moment that you get into this new program, and you have to have some type of game plan coming in. But if the kids don't buy into it, especially at this day and age, it's too much information. They'll background check you, coach, came from here, this and that, and the third. It's if we don't believe, in coach who we're playing for, it's really, really hard, to establish the program that you're setting out to make.
Definitely. I think one thing I'd add to that really quickly, just to, kind of give everybody, like when I got the job, my very first team meeting, and I told our president, I told our AVP, I told our VP, I was like, this is exactly what I'm going to do. I wheeled a whiteboard in and I broke it into 3 columns. And I said, the column on the left told me everything that's wrong with the program. Mm-hmm. And they didn't hold back. I mean, they put it all out there. I mean, some of the stuff they were telling me was catching me off guard, right? And the middle column, I said, where do you guys want to go? Like, what are your goals? And the really cool thing, guys, is they started talking about academic goals. They started talking about behavior goals. It wasn't just, I want to win this team, I want to win state. Yeah. And they did that without me saying anything, right? And in the last column, I said, okay, how are we going to now change this? You guys are telling me this is what's wrong. This is where you want to go. What do you need to do? Right? You know what you need to do. You just told me, right? Yeah. So now we got to start on this today, right? And I think that helped let them kind of get that emotion out, because like what you're talking about, right? Like building that relationship.
Coach.
Yeah, right. And it lets them take ownership of the program right off the bat. And I think that was a big thing that got buy-in. I mean, my first day, our strength and conditioning coach told me there were 4 kids coming to work out, right? That first day after that meeting, we had 30. And by the next week, we're at 50 to 60 kids.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. It was getting through the hallways that something special was happening and people wanted to be a part of it. I see Dog Monday coming in saying 100, coach. And then we've got Jose Sanchez saying, Coach Adhir, Riordan up. I see Mama Cindy saying go Buffs from Colorado. She's hyped, ready for the Buffs. And then the great Tommy Nunez, great player out of the Central Coast, saying it's nice to see you, Coach Wood. All love from the Central Coast. So thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. Every Thursday we're live. So let's get into our next topic, gentlemen. And this one was a big one for me. I mean, this is in line with, how guys recruit, how they decide who they're going to draft, how we feeling about somebody. And this is the Raiders saying that they're not coming close to drafting the great defensive tackle out of Georgia, Jalen Carter, because his speeding incident at Georgia reminded them a little bit too much of Henry Ruggs, who is still locked away. Wide receiver from Alabama. They spent money, first-round money, and he's in a jail cell in Vegas. So Josh McDaniels, the coach of the Raiders, is saying that he denies taking Jalen Carter off the board right here. But you guys know as well as I do that this is a possibility. So I'll throw it out to you first, Q. Do you think it's wise of these NFL organizations, these college programs, to maybe judge somebody off of a previous incident? Or do you think it's something that they need to be careful of?
When you look at these players that are high, especially high-profile players that are coming out the collegiate ranks and headed to the league, you are an investment. Looking at it from an NFL standpoint, from an owner or a general manager standpoint, you're an investment. That means we have to get a return on investment. But if you're a high risk investment, it's no different than investing in a stock. If the stock is volatile, then we're probably not going to go that direction. Even though we see the potential upside, the risk is not worth the loss. And again, especially in regards to the Oakland Raiders, with what they had in Ruggs, and losing that type of investment. And he was it's sad because he was such a promising player at that, especially that particular organization. It's no way that we're going to go down that path again. And other organizations definitely are going to take heat. It's one thing to get a kid, draft him high, and he ends up being a bust for whatever reason, coming in consistently overweight or can't process the playbook or whatnot. But we're talking about off the field, that type of risk, nobody's worth that. That's how over time, that's how these organizations are viewing these kids in regards to what happened with this kid in particular. It's not worth the investment.
Adhir, how do you feel about this? And does this happen maybe even on a sibling level, that, hey, this is this person's brother and maybe we don't know? Have you seen this, and what's your feelings?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think one of the things you'll hear a lot of coaches say is, like, especially like for me, for example, with all the guys we had at MA that have gone to college, who does he remind you of? And it's not always as a player. It's who does he remind you of as personality-wise, character-wise, and colleges also, right? Like nowadays we're talking $60,000 on average tuition for college. You're talking about a $240,000, $300,000 investment.
Yeah.
I mean, in schools, you're not ready to pull a trigger on a kid until you know that, do I want to, as a position coach, hang my name and reputation to this kid? Right. And the flip side to it is even the high schools start to get a reputation with, oh, their kids have a tendency to get in trouble. How are you preparing them for the next level? And that's not just, are they a really good talent? Are you preparing them to emotionally and mentally be ready, not just physically ready? Right. And I think that's a huge thing that colleges are starting to now identify certain programs where they feel like, okay, this kid is going to be ready. They have a track record of a guy being developed, and not just on the field. But I mean, you see it all the time, right? I mean, a lot of colleges have now started to adopt the Chip Kelly scoring method, where they'll call you and they'll ask you to rate a kid on a scale. Like, how tough is he? What is his competitiveness? What is his family situation? What does mom do? What does his dad do? Who else is involved with his family, right? Like, tell me about their home situation. They're going to dig in very, very deeply. Now, they may throw you an uncommittable offer on Twitter, but before they're ready to take you in and they're actually going to let you sign pen to paper, they're going to do their homework. And I think you're starting to see it even more and more, because now, do I want to take a high school kid with the risk of how he's going to adjust to college, or a kid from the transfer portal who I know knows how to handle himself on a college campus already? right? And so I think the game has really changed in these last couple of years, and so it's something that we try to preach to our kids. We have a Built for Life program, which is our personal development program, and in Built for Life, it's not just about you getting to the next level. It's about setting you up for success in life. But I think these are things schools are talking about, right? It's at the forefront of it for sure in recruiting.
Wow. So you young players out there, you have to take heed and be cautious. If there's somebody ahead of you that's doing the wrong things, you don't want to be compared to them. You don't want to be too close to them. So you guys keep that in mind. This is our next topic, you guys, and this is unfortunately in line with what we're talking about here, where guys are making mistakes off the field. In this particular case, we have an incident where former Ohio State players were acquitted, you guys, of rape and kidnapping of all things. Were facing up to 30 years in prison if they were convicted, but it comes out that it was all consensual. But definitely a close call. Both of these boys are no longer with Ohio State when this all came out. They lost their opportunity with Ohio State, were let go of the team. So, I'll throw it to you, Coach Adhir, because they were acquitted, but some people would say don't put yourself in a position where, there's alcohol involved and there's multiple people and there's sexual stuff going on. What is your advice? You were a former college player as well. So we all know, and that we get in situations sometimes.
Right.
But what is your advice, Coach, to players dealing with young ladies? Because sometimes things can seem consensual and then change too. So what is your advice for these young athletes dealing with young ladies?
Yeah, I mean, this obviously, you guys both are college athletes. This has really come to the forefront in the last 5 to 7 years. I would say, I think like the Baylor rape incidents and what happened out of that, which is an absolutely awful situation, has really, and domestic violence in the NFL has really come to the forefront. And I think, this is something that, we talked about our Built for Life program. We spent quite a bit of time at MA on this. And this is something that, this story actually specifically is something we're going to talk with our Riordan guys about.
Yes.
About understanding, one, what does consent actually mean? I don't know if you guys saw the video the TCU strength coach put out where he actually took his entire team after a workout. And
Big Kaz. That's my guy. Yeah. Kaz Kazadi. That's my dude. Yeah.
To fit, like, what does consent mean? Right?
Yeah.
What is the situation you're putting yourself in? And what is it that you want in life? And what are the things that are going to get you where you want to go? Right? And are these situations those things that are going to put you in where you want to go? I think Tony Dungy had a great one that Warren Sapp talks about. He has his 5 rules, right? And one of them is alcohol, being out after midnight, women, and that a lot of times, good things don't happen in those situations, right? And I think it's understanding not just what is your role as an individual, but what is your role also within your community, right? Like talking to our players about what happens when you see this happening, right? And how do you help not only a young woman who could be in a situation, but also a teammate or a close friend of yours. And I think, there's a lot of tactics I've seen people take, whether it's just conversation, whether it's role playing. I think it's really just bringing out that conversation so that these guys understand it, because they'll see it on social media, right? They'll see the headline, they'll see the story, but how does that relate to them? And how can you get it where in their mind, when that situation arises, they know how to handle that, right? And I think it's really just identifying my behavior, my actions, and do those align with the goals and the things that I want, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, that's big, Coach. Just split-second decisions sometimes can change our lives. Q, come on, it's the locker room, man. We know things happen, especially in the football entertainment world. What would be your advice, man, if you got a son about to go to Florida State or something when it comes to being around the ladies?
Absolutely. Your life can change so quickly off the wrong decisions, and we've been saying this from day one, from the moment that we erected this show. you have to pay attention to who's around you, your circle around you, but you have to make sure that you take your time and you think out the decisions that you make, because you have so much to lose. You have all this work. We have kids out here that have been playing this game and wanting to play ball and get to school on that level since what, 6, 7 years old? Yeah. Just to lose it in a 30-second decision. So that being said, it's one of those things where you have to use, that, and that's the purpose of great coaches too. That's what comes along with being a great coach. Coach, I'm sure you attest to that as well. It's having mentors around you to keep you on that right path, to not make those wrong decisions that could instantly destroy everything that you're trying to build. So it's good that these young kids got acquitted, but they still have a black eye on their character.
Great point. Great point right there.
That's lasting.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that we talk to our guys about, I actually got this from this On3 leadership group who does a bunch of consulting with college organization, but E plus R equals O. Emotion plus response equals outcome, right? When you can take and understand the emotion of a situation or the emotions that you're feeling, take a step back and think about the appropriate response to get the outcome that you want, right? And that's across any situation. And in these situations, these become very emotional situations, right? And it can be emotional in a good and emotional in a bad way, but being able to take a step back in those types of situations and equipping players to be able to make the right response to get the appropriate outcome in the end, right? And again, I think part of this is, Quincy, what you said, right? We've been there. The three of us have all been males that have been in college or have been at a party, and this is all part of growing up. And I think having those very direct conversations that a dad can have with a son, but I think we also have responsibility as coaches. We are male figures in their lives that they're looking up to, and we have lived this. And a lot of times for me, with a lot of our kids, I'm younger than their parents. So they look at me as Coach Adhir was just there. Coach Adhir was just, he, what does he do on the weekends? And it's very direct with them and having them have an understanding of where we've been and the choices we made to get to where we are and being, role models in our community.
Absolutely. Coach Ball says it can change. A false allegation can keep your friends close and everyone keep each other out of trouble. Yeah, keep your friends close and make sure you're keeping your friends out of trouble. If you see some girl intoxicated or something, that's not the one to go home with. Okay? Nah. That's
absolutely
trouble.
Not.
Absolutely not. This is a locker room, so I'm always be honest with you guys because I care about you. I love you and don't want you to fall into these pitfalls. I've literally seen it, you guys, where something happened between a guy and a girl, and then maybe that information leaked, and that person didn't like that.
And that next day,
and the next thing, the whole situation changes. Luckily, the courts found that these young men, this was consensual, but the wrong court, the wrong situation, the wrong lawyers, you're going to jail for 30 years.
It's canceled Christmas. Absolutely.
You're going to jail for 30 years and you're supposed to be in class and playing football. So you guys don't take this as no joke. We have these locker room conversations for a reason. So let's go on to something a little bit more lighthearted, and that is recruiting obligations. We're getting through the 2023 class, pretty much done with Before You Go Pro. Now we're on to 2024. Coach has been making some big moves as far as recruiting, but I know he has some feelings on this. So I wanted to talk to you, Coach Adhir. What do you feel, because I got some parents listening too, what do you feel the recruiting obligations are for a high school coach when it comes to getting his players to the next level? Is it, hey, fend for yourself? Is it, if you're a baller, I got your back? Is it they should be watching out for everybody? What's your feelings on that?
Yeah. Well, let me start off with this. No coach is going to get you an offer. You're going to get you an offer because of the fact that you put the work in to put it on tape. You've done the work to put it on your transcript. You've done the work to prove yourself to be a high character person in your community, in line with kind of what we're talking about just before this, right? And I think that's the first thing, is getting, for any player and for any coach to understand, like, you have to do the work you have to own your recruiting, and you have to get yourself what you're going to get. Now, I believe a coach's responsibility in all of this is to work with a kid and to work with his parents. If you're going to ask them to show up to weights every morning, if you're going to ask them to go to school and bust their butt, you're going to ask them to come to practice, you should fight for those kids when you're asking them to fight for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that means every kid in your program who has an interest in playing college football, I feel like every kid can play at the next level. There is an opportunity for someone to play anywhere. Whether they want to do that or not, it may not always line up with where they think they should play.
Right.
But you have the ability to be able to play anywhere if you want to do that. And so I think a coach's obligation is to reach out and advocate for his kids and be aggressive in terms of at least trying to get those opportunities for them to be evaluated,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not to get an offer, because they're not going to get you an offer, but to be fairly evaluated to get those opportunities. And that's where I think coaches need to be advocates for their players and reach out. And that's whether it's, emailing coaches, calling them, texting them, leveraging social media. I think, it's a two-way street. You can't ask kids to be all in, ask them to be fully committed into your program.
Right.
And when it comes time for you, when they need you, you're kind of half in or busy or, I think that's the disconnect that sometimes I see. But I mean, there's a lot of coaches out there that do an absolutely great job about this and really do, try to do what they can to help their kids. And I think the biggest thing is when you see a school where you have kids that are getting D3, NAIA, D2, and D1 offers, you can tell that that's a school that's really doing the work for their kids. And there's a lot of them here in the Bay Area. There's a lot of them all over the country that do a really great job of that. Because in the end, if you have a school where it's just like, oh, they have a handful, like 1 or 2 kids that go to play Division I football, like those kids are probably going to get recruited no matter where they are, right? They are elite athletes. A Division I football player is an elite athlete.
Right.
And nowadays with Huddle, social media, I mean, kids are not as hidden as they once were, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
That's where I view the coach's responsibility in this is to advocate for his players and to try and everyone who wants an opportunity to play at the next level, fight for them to have that opportunity. And that's where I think, sometimes, again, I think this is like the thing I'll always harp on whenever people ask me about this is if you're going to ask your players to be fully invested, you're going to ask your families to skip summer vacation, you're going to ask them to do all of that. The least you can do is go fight for them.
Absolutely.
Good point. And coach is doing a great job. I think 4 or 5, maybe even 6 players this year getting college football scholarships. He's got a bunch of
awesome
2024s already landing offers. He's got a young stud at quarterback. This young man already got offers, started as a true freshman in high school. I think the first Riordan true freshman to start at varsity quarterback, and he's already getting offers. So Coach Adhir definitely doing big things at my alma mater. Q, talk to me a little bit. You came out of a powerhouse in St. Louis. When you went there, did you expect that coach had your back or did he pull you aside? What was your situation?
I mean, man, all shots out, man, to Coach Rick Gorzinski. Ashley, go figure you ass. He actually is on schedule, I believe, this month to be inducted into the state of Missouri Hall of Fame as far as coaches. Coming from a powerhouse, that he built, from the dirt. I mean, I remember going into his office. This is Coach said, and he was the one that established those relationships. I remember going in and and walking in unannounced to talk about whatever, and he's on the phone with Bobby Bowden, or he's on the phone, with Lou Holtz. So it's one of those things where the coaches, as Coach said, the coaches are the ones that are taking their time and going out of their way to email and call and build these relationships, with these collegiate head coaches, and position coaches that are doing the recruiting. Once you're asking these kids to do all they possibly can to buy in, that's your end of the bargain as far as a coach, to help them. Obviously, we're talking about the kids that truly, truly want to get to that next level. That's your commitment as a coach, is to help them in any way possible to get to the next level, for sure.
Definitely. And I know I've talked to many parents that feel like their kid put it all on the line for a particular coach, and that coach was nowhere to be found when it was recruiting time. So that's not the case at Riordan High School anymore. Coach Adhir is pumping them out, and we talk all the time, you guys, about leveraging our relationship to get kids to college. So big time right there. We are on, you guys, and thank you for joining us so much. If this is your first time in the locker room, welcome. Please come back many more times. But we are on to one of our fan favorite portions of the show. This is the lightning round, you guys. The lightning round, where it goes down. And this is where we put our guests through a little version of word association, you guys. So we have the great Coach Adhir. We're going to put him through some questions. We're going to put him through a little gauntlet, and we're going to see what type of answers he comes up with. Now, he has 60 seconds, just 60 seconds. So I know young Mike Mitchell, your quarterback, probably watching to see how you run the 2-minute offense right here, Coach. But you got 60 seconds to tell us what's on your mind. So I got a great list here and very interested in some of these answers. Now, we do this not just for fun, you guys. We have a little wager on this. We actually reward somebody. So we have Coach Adhir, if he gets 14 or more in the 60 seconds, then he gets a little dinner and he gets a little hotel stay on the Locker Room Show. Now, this isn't a Menlo Afterton down the street from Stanford dinner, but we're going to take care of Coach. So
you guys got me so nervous for this.
Yeah, it's good, Coach. It's a 2-minute drill. That's all it is. I promise.
I'd rather have the ball in my hands throwing it.
All right, I got you. It's good though.
There you go. So we're gonna put Coach through the drill. I'm getting my stopwatch ready, and you know I'm not gonna treat you, Coach. I've been accused of it in the past. You're zeros to always show now because I want people getting mad at me. So you ready to go, Coach?
Oh, let's do it.
All right. Now you get one. You get one extra for tech delay. For tech delay, we always give one extra. So you're trying to get 13 or 14. Okay. So let's get started. I know some of your players are watching. The lightning round, you guys. All right. Number one. First thing that comes to your mind, Coach. The WCAL. Go.
Archbishop Riordan.
Any given Sunday or the program?
Any given Sunday.
Candlestick or Levi?
Candlestick, no question.
Aaron Donald or Warren Sapp?
Ooh. Oh, man. Aaron Donald. That's a hard one.
Favorite Bay Area restaurant?
Favorite Bay Area restaurant? Spruce in the city, San Francisco. I just went there recently.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Best player you coached against?
Best player I coached against? It's a good question. Spencer Petras at Marin Catholic was pretty good when we played him.
Marshall Faulk or Christian McCaffrey? 50 seconds.
Ooh. Marshall Faulk. I got to go Marshall Faulk.
University of San Diego.
What was it again?
University of San Diego.
Jim Harbaugh.
We stumped you on the favorite player.
Those are some tough ones,
Coach. The play, the best play.
Hey, that was a tough.
Another thing too is because you got me with saying that my players were watching, so I didn't want to have recency bias because some of them need to go look up Warren Sapp, some of them need to go look up Marshall Faulk.
Right.
So no, we got you. We got you. I one just for the overtime question. Are you riding an elephant or a camel?
What was it? A camel or a what?
Or an elephant?
Ooh, I'm going elephant.
All right. So we got Coach. We got 1, 2, 3. We'll revisit a couple of these. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then with the tech delay, Coach, we'll give you 11. Great job there. Great sport. And he said, you guys, let's revisit a couple. He said he's going with the Any Given Sunday over the program. A lot of people would go with you on that. He's going with the Candlestick over the Levi. And if you don't know, that's where the 49ers used to play. And Levi is where they play now. He's going with the Aaron Donald over the Warren Sapp. And then he said Spruce is his spot in the Bay Area, which is a great restaurant. So great job there, Coach. Yeah. And we appreciate you going through the little drill there.
Yeah,
so I know it's not as easy as it seems.
Oh yeah,
It's not as
it's
easy
the,
as
it's the,
movie. You
it's
know what
the
I mean?
gauntlet. It's the gauntlet. Yeah.
Definitely.
Hey,
So
coach, it's a mental
people in the chat,
Oklahoma drill. You feel
Oh
me?
yeah, no,
Yeah.
that was
definitely.
Yeah,
I see
for
a whole
sure.
bunch of you guys in the chat. Thank you for going back and forth. I see you guys having conversations with yourself. So that's a good deal right there. And then we are on, you guys, to our last topic, which is the audience Q&A. If you do have a question for Coach Adhir, then pop it in the comments section, and we'll make sure that we get it knocked out. He's on spring break, so we got a little bit of time with Coach. But if you got a question, put it in the comments section. Q, if you got a question for Coach, definitely put it in the comments section. And then, Coach, I got one for you because, we've been talking a lot about recruiting and the fabulous job you've always done getting your players to the next level. Talked about the young superstar Michael Mitchell here. But talk to me about something we both got planned. Something a little special. We are putting on a college football recruiting seminar at the end of April on the 21st. This is free. This is not for just Riordan athletes. If you are in the Bay Area, you're a 2024 athlete in particular, this is something that you need to be at. It's going to be at Archbishop Riordan High School in the city. We're going to have a lot of promotion leading up to it, so keep your eyes and ears out. And that Friday, 4/21 starts at 5:30 p.m. First come, first serve. But I wanted to ask you, Coach, because we've been talking about this for a while. Mm-hmm. You've been coaching for years in the Bay Area, and there's a lot of talent that goes overlooked. What was it about this that you said, hey, now's the time, something like this needs to take place? What was the whole reasoning behind wanting to put on something like this?
Yeah, I mean, I'll actually say the same thing I said to our parents when we did our recruiting night, kind of like presentation. Like I remember when I was a high school senior, I had a high school coach who told me that he was going to help me with recruiting, and he was going to, this is back when we had VHS tapes. So I think, part of the audience may not even know what that is, but I remember me and my dad just sitting there with the 2 VCRs trying to record my my highlight tape, and we're just randomly mailing them out to colleges. And my high school coach didn't really help me, and it was something that when I got into coaching was really personal to me because I didn't really feel like I knew what I was doing. My dad was being an awesome dad and trying to help me, but he didn't know what he was doing, right? And so I think there's just a lot of parents and a lot of kids who don't understand the process. And I think there's a lot of parents out there who also go like, what can I do to help my kid in this situation? And I think, knowledge is power. And I think this is definitely more opportunity for everyone to really understand the process, understand how does this go from start to finish. And so I think just being able to educate people, to be able to empower them, to be able to advocate for their kids and get them into college, I think, the more we can do. And I love, the fact that we're making this free and, it's open to anyone in the Bay Area who wants to come and just, get a free opportunity just to be able to learn about the process and what you can do to help yourself and just take ownership of your recruiting.
How much, Coach, do you feel like there's a timeline involved as far as athletes who do sign being timely with things like the eligibility center, maybe camps and showcases? Do you think the timeline is a big factor?
Oh yeah. And that thing is moving earlier and earlier too. Like if you don't come out of your spring or like I'll say summer, your junior year without Division I offers, you're probably not going Division I. The idea that you can wait with no Division I offers until fall of your senior year and get off, it's rare now. It does happen, but it's rare. And so I think getting in front of college coaches earlier, understanding how to manage that process and the things that you have to do to be in that position, to be able to, get scholarship offers or even be in a position to go play at the next level if it's at a lower level. The things just moved earlier and earlier, and those spots are more and more limited. It used to be a signing class was 25 kids. Yeah. You talk to these college coaches now, they said, I'm only signing 18 maybe because I want to keep the rest for transfer portal kids.
Yeah.
I'm going to your college and I'm going to for the portal. Yeah. So those spots have even narrowed down even more. Right. And so I think, even when you look at, FCS, those are much more competitive. It trickles down to Division II, which then trickles down to Division 3. And so the timeline is really important. And I think it's gotten earlier. And that's the thing that, we talk to our guys a lot about and our families and trying to make sure that they're in the best situation so that they're not caught with nothing when that time comes.
No, that's big time right there, Coach.
Sure.
And once again, if you are in the Bay Area, this is definitely something that you have to attend. If you're serious about going to the next level, it's no excuses. This is free. This is a joint collaboration. Before you go pro, our company and Riordan High School, but it's open. It's open to all of the Bay Area schools. So if you know somebody in the Bay Area or you are, definitely make sure you're in attendance Friday, 4/21, starting at 5:30. I see some questions in here.
That's a big question.
Yeah.
Ari Redknapp QPR. That's a heck of a question right there for you, Coach.
Well, Coach, how did you get Peter Langley to leave modern day #1 in the country to come join your program? I'm glad he's back at your school. Give him a chance. The other WCALs did not admit him. Did you want to touch on that, Coach?
Well, look, Peter's at Riordan. There was a situation that, it wasn't anything bad or anything that he couldn't stay there, and he came back. His brother's on our team. And so I think we were the logical place, when he had to come back to the Bay Area for him to go. So, but Peter's a great kid. The Longy family is an amazing family. Definitely really excited about his growth and his potential and what he's going to add to our school first and foremost, and then secondly our football team.
Definitely,
Awesome.
no, that's big time.
But see, that's what we've been saying. See, if you're out in the Bay Area, these kids are buying into what Coach is putting in place. To answer your question and easily, that's how you get killers.
Yeah,
you get them to buy in, and then more killers are gonna come after him.
Yeah.
Period. That's how it works. That's how he's building a juggernaut. That's how it goes down.
And if you don't know, killers are great players and great students. And coaches getting them at Archbishop Riordan. And so that's what they call them in St. Louis. They call them killers. No, that is real deal. Once again, Friday, 4/21, first time in the Bay Area, to our knowledge, that we're putting on a seminar hosted at a WCAL school for the Bay Area so that we can get more superstars out. So we appreciate it, Coach. And I know that this is your break, so you gave us a little bit of time of your break, but I really appreciate it, and we wish you the best of luck heading into next season.
Definitely.
I appreciate it. And just thank you for having me on. And again, we're really excited about not, just our football program, where we're headed as a school. And, really excited to have this event at Riordan on the 21st. I think it's going to be a great opportunity just to be able to pull the veil back on what I think feels like a really, kind of scary and a little bit of an unknown for a lot of families. And so I think it's going to be a great event. Definitely really excited to be able to host that for you.
Absolutely, Coach, and definitely keep doing what you're doing, man. The power is, man, you got a community behind you.
Absolutely,
understand? It's even bigger than a school when you have a community behind you.
Man. Oh yeah, no, and that's when it really gets special.
Right? Exactly.
And so we're really excited about where we're headed, and hopefully I'll be back on in another year and we can celebrate a little bit more.
Sure. Guarantee that.
There you go. Sure. So, hey, if you didn't know, now you know. Riordan is headed in a great direction, and a big part of it, you guys, is because this gentleman right here doing amazing things. Once again, he's already got a state championship in his back pocket. So this isn't him guessing how to lead a team. This isn't him wondering. This is him putting forth his blueprint that he's already used, and kids are already going to college. So we appreciate you, Coach, and we'll see you next time. All right.
My man.
Guys have it. So there is Coach Adhir. I look at him as a very dear friend. I mean, from day one, Q literally called up and said, hey, I heard you played at Riordan and you did some things, and I need you on my squad.
Yeah, I'm telling you
to have my back. So I said, "Oh, this is different, man."
Yeah,
and I knew right away that some special things were going to be happening, man. Because you can tell when somebody, and that's what I was saying at Colorado. Guys have been saying, how do we change this around? I say you got
culture,
to get somebody transformational.
You do.
You got to get somebody that people can get behind.
That's absolutely necessary. I mean, but again,
got it in Kansas.
Absolutely, but see, again, that's why Prime was wise enough to, even though sometimes as a new coach you have to come in, you have to clean house, and that's understandable. But we're gonna keep Darian Hagan. You see what I mean? Because he is part of the history and the fabric of the success of that university.
Yeah.
He is one of the major pieces of the buy-in.
Yeah. No,
that's the key. That's the key. You can come into a program and on paper have all the horses you want, but if they don't buy in, then you're still not going to get the success that you're looking for.
It's
and
like
Prime understands that.
With LeBron and Russell Westbrook.
Exactly.
And, they try to do these super teams in the NBA,
and it doesn't work.
Chemistry ain't right.
Exactly. It doesn't work. Rarely it works, actually. Rarely it works. Because no one's buying in. But then you look at a team like the Patriots over the last 10 years or however many years, and you have a bunch of Tom Brady and the rest of the roster you've never heard of in your natural life, but they've bought in.
They bought in. That's a great point. So in your opinion, if you're the athletic director of a team that's struggling and you want to change things, is head coach A1, or is it something else that needs to be that change agent?
No, it needs to be the head coach, but it's the head coach's concept again of getting these kids to buy in. It's the energy that the coach is bringing to a particular program. As you said, coach already has a state championship. He has the blueprint how to win.
Yeah.
You do it once, you can do it again, no problem. It's just about getting the right kids and getting them to buy in to what I have in store for them, and getting their parents to buy in, and then getting the community to buy in. You understand? You see that a lot down here in Texas, and what's funny is the smaller the communities, the more the buy-in down here. You have, like you look at the Midland and Odessa Permian, it's football or nothing, but you got a community behind you. It's bigger than the coach. You got a whole town behind you. You have a community. That's what you're looking to build,
especially at the high school level.
Especially at the high school level.
Yeah,
that's essential. That's what made Hazelwood East what we were, 100%. You go back and look at our history, man, like North County and St. Louis, man. I mean, other than Hazelwood Central, it was Hazelwood, it was Hazelwood East or nothing, because our whole community was buying in and behind us. And they weren't going to let you make any type of mistakes. If they saw you out and it was late at night, someone's going to tell you, go home. You see what I'm saying? They're not going to let you be out in the street 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And when they see your mom at the grocery store, they're going to tell her, hey, I saw your boy out 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. You see what I mean? The community is going to hold the kids accountable.
Gotcha. All right. So, you guys, once again, we had Coach Adhir on. Amazing coach. I get, if you watch that episode, you can tell this man is articulate and he's got a game plan. So, big things happening at Archbishop Riordan High School. I'm pumped up for it. A lot of killers, like Coach, like Q said, is going to be coming out of there. And we're going to be sitting back with our popcorn. If you haven't been checking out our past episodes, we are on episode 66, I believe. So go back, binge watch some of those old episodes. We're bringing you the best of the best from the football entertainment industry, coaches, players, business professionals. We brought on NFL agents, Lee Steinberg, the original Jerry Maguire, Ronnie Lott, Hall of Famer. So check out some of those old episodes. If you have not subscribed already, please hit the button. because we want YouTube to find out that we legit and we're not going nowhere and they need to promote us. So hit that button and make it happen and tell all of your friends, tell your coaches, tell your parents to watch the Locker Room Show. We got a real big show. Q don't even know. We got a real big show for you next week. We already got next week's.
I don't even know about it. Oh, we got secrets.
I'll just put it this way. AFC East. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
See, so, now we all in Coach T. Now we all in suspense. Now we all don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Now
so,
we gotta tune in now.
You gotta tune in now. I gotta tell you nothing else.
I guess I got to
I'm gonna give something else. I'm not gonna give him nothing else. So,
I guess I'll go ahead and show up. Well, okay, cool.
Yeah, you gotta show up, brother. So hey, that's the hint. AFC East next week. So if you want to be down with the Locker Room Show, if you want to know how to be a cut above the rest of your football competition, then this is the spot to be. So hopefully you guys have a great week. Q, anything for the good people before we get out of here?
Hey, I don't just make sure and hit the button. Again, as Coach said, tell your family, tell your friends. See you back next week, and we got to see what Coach is talking about. I have no idea. I don't know if you see the little imaginary question bubble over my head. We don't even know what Coach is talking about, but we got to see next week. But you got to tune in. That's the key. You got to tune in. We don't even know what the hell Coach talking about.
All right. So, hey, come here next week. Get your football fix Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you at the top. Have a good one.